Friday night, London. Sabina was heading out to meet a friend. Just a 5-minute walk through a park she'd taken dozens of times before. But this time, she never made it back. She was young, a school teacher, kind, down to earth, just looking to unwind after a long week. And in under a minute, her life was taken. Cold-blooded, random, no reason, no chance. This isn't just a tragedy, it's the terrifying reality, where a woman can't even walk down her own street and make it home alive. Sabina Nessa was born on October 23, 1993 in England, to a family with Arab roots. At home, they followed Islamic traditions. But Sabina grew up surrounded by British culture in the quiet town of Bedfordshire. Not much is known about her early life. She graduated with a degree in sociology in 2014, and by 2020, she had earned her teaching certificate. That same year, she moved to London and began working as a primary school teacher. Her co-workers called her talented, kind, and deeply dedicated to her students. Her sister remembered her as gentle, beautiful, and full of light. Sabina was just 28. She dreamed of teaching abroad, maybe moving to Dubai for a while. But all of that ended on a night that should have been just like any other. September 17, 2021, around 8:30 at night. Sabina left her home on Assal Road, not far from the Kidbrooke train station. She was heading to a bar at Pegler Square. Her friend was waiting for her. The walk should have taken 5 minutes, but she was running late, so she took a shortcut through Cato Park. She usually avoided that park after dark. It was quiet, damp, full of leaves and still water. But it was the fastest way. Sabina never made it to the bar. At first, her friend didn't think much of it. Maybe she'd just changed her mind. She kept texting her all night. No response. Sabina wasn't the kind of person who just disappeared. She always answered. Her family started to worry too, but they told themselves, maybe she's just resting. She'll call soon. But she never did. Sabina would never text back, never come home. September 18th, around 5:30 in the evening. A young guy was out walking his dogs through Cater Park, near the One Space Community Center. In one corner of the park, he noticed something strange, a pile of fallen leaves, a little too neatly arranged. Curiosity got the best of him. He pushed the leaves aside, and underneath was a woman's body. Still, brutally beaten. She wasn't wearing pants, no tights, no underwear. He didn't hesitate. He called the police immediately. Officers arrived quickly and examined the scene. Sabina had been struck in the head with a heavy, blunt object, then strangled. Because of the way her body was found, investigators initially suspected sexual assault. But at that point, it was just a theory. News of the discovery spread fast, and the neighborhood, where everyone knew each other, was shaken. Murder? Here? In that park? No one could believe it. Later that same Saturday night, police announced they had arrested a 40-year-old man in connection with the murder. But his identity wasn't made public, and not long after, he was released, though he remained under investigation. Police reached out to local residents. If you saw anything, or had footage from a home security camera, bring it forward. Even the smallest detail could help. On September 20th, an autopsy was performed at the Greenwich morgue. The results weren't conclusive, but one thing was clear: Sabina had not been sexually assaulted. Still, something about the way her body was found felt deeply personal, not a crime of passion, but one driven by rage. Later that night, close to 9, police confirmed the victim's identity: Sabina Nessa. Lisa Williams, the head teacher at the primary school where Sabina taught, gave a statement. She described Sabina as a brilliant teacher, kind and deeply loved by her students. And she added, "We'll never forget her. Our children will miss her more than words can say." September 23rd. Detectives announced they've arrested another man, this time 38 years old, in connection with Sabina's murder. His name isn't released, and it's still unclear if he's the one they're looking for. But now the investigation is picking up speed. That same day, police released surveillance footage from the night of the attack. On the video, a man walking through Pegler Square near the park where Sabina's body was found. He's holding a large metal triangle, part of a road sign, looking around nervously. Then, he pulls his hood over his head. Later, cameras inside the park catch him again, walking along the path, still carrying that same object. Around 8:30, he passes Sabina. He stops, turns back, watches her. She has no idea there's someone behind her. Then, he follows her. One hit, then another, and another. 34 blows to the head, delivered with such force that the metal sign shatters. Pieces of it fall to the ground. He drags her body. She's likely already unconscious. 10 minutes later, cameras catch him again. He's back at the scene, picking up the broken pieces of the weapon, wiping down a bench, cleaning up, erasing what he can. Police share stills from the footage and photos of a silver car believed to be connected to the suspect. They urge anyone who recognizes the man or the vehicle to come forward. All of this in a quiet neighborhood. The kind of place where things like this just don't happen. It took 5 days. 5 days for investigators to piece together what little they had. Scattered bits of security footage, strange behavior, a blurry figure in a hoodie. But at the crime scene, nothing. No fingerprints, no DNA, no obvious evidence. And then, a breakthrough. One of the cameras caught a car leaving the park shortly after the time of the murder. Still attached to the back, a metal triangle, part of a road sign. Then, a flash. Light bounced off the license plate. Detectives zoomed in. A silver Nissan Micra. The same car later appeared on traffic cams in another part of town. Police traced the vehicle. And the registered owner? Kochi Selimaj. A name that, up until then, had never shown up in any major criminal investigation. Kochi Selimaj was born on May 4, 1985 in Albania. He dropped out of school at 12. Not long after, his family moved to Greece in search of a better life. His parents eventually returned home, but Kochi stayed behind with his siblings, hoping for something more. It didn't work out. In 2015, he crossed into the UK illegally, hiding in the back of a truck. He ended up in Eastbourne, a small seaside town, where he got work delivering pizzas and doing security at a parking lot. Then, on November 5, 2018, he got married. His wife was a European Union citizen, which gave him the right to legally stay and travel freely within the UK. But just 2 months later, he started making frequent trips back to Albania, 6 times in 2.5 years. It looked less like a real relationship, and more like a marriage of convenience. Albanian police confirmed he had no prior criminal record, but his ex-wife painted a different picture. She said he was abusive. He'd choked her, threatened her, over and over. By summer 2021, she left him. And with that, his immigration status started to crumble. No wife, no protection, no path forward. The timeline of what happened on the day Sabina was killed. It's almost exact, thanks to security footage and testimony from Kochi Selimaj's ex-wife. September 17, 2021. Selimaj flies into London. Even though he already has a place to stay in Eastbourne, he books a room at the Grand Hotel. Investigators believe that was part of a plan. Maybe he wasn't expecting to spend the night alone. That evening, not long before the murder, he gets into an argument with hotel staff, something about payment. Then someone notices something strange. The address he gave when booking the room? It's just a few minutes away. He lives nearby. Staff get uneasy. They call the police, but dispatch says not to worry. It's a civil issue, not a police matter. A little later, Selimaj meets his ex-wife in the hotel parking lot. It's a short conversation. He asks if she'd be willing to reconnect. She says no. She later told police that he seemed agitated, nervous, unstable, and after the rejection, He got in his car and drove off, alone. After his ex-wife turns him down, Kochi Selimaj gets in his car and starts driving. First to Brighton, then west into London. He ends up in Kidbrooke, at Pegler Square, miles from home, far from anyone who might recognize him. He parks his silver Nissan and waits. Later, investigators would say, he wasn't looking for someone specific. He was looking for any woman, just whoever crossed his path. Surveillance cameras catch him entering a supermarket, buying a rolling pin, possibly as a weapon. But he changes his mind, throws it out, adjusts the plan. Then he heads into Cater Park. He's in no rush. He watches. He waits. At the same time, Sabina is finishing her work week. It's just a regular Friday. She's meeting a friend, running a little late. To save time, she takes the shortcut, through the park, past Pegler Square. She's walked it many times before. But tonight, he's there. Selimaj sees her, watches her, realizes she's alone. And then, he goes after her. 34 blows to the head. He uses a road sign, something he likely pulled from the back of his car. The force is so brutal, the metal shatters. When Sabina falls unconscious, he strangles her, then removes her clothing and covers her body with leaves. He drives off, stops near Tunbridge Wells, tosses the murder weapon into the River Tyne. Just after midnight, he calmly walks into a hotel in Eastbourne, the one he booked earlier, goes up to his room, sleeps. The next morning, he wakes up and heads to work. Like nothing happened, just another shift at the garage. For lead investigator Detective Neil John, things were finally starting to click into place. The way Sabina's body was left, the fact that Selimaj had tried to initiate sex with his ex-wife earlier that day. It all pointed to one thing. This was an intimate, targeted killing, and the killer needed to be taken off the streets, fast. 3 in the morning, Sunday, September 26th. A tactical team storms Selimaj's apartment in Eastbourne. He's lying in bed, calm, doesn't resist, doesn't even ask why. He just gives up, like he already knows it's over. During the search, officers find a pair of sneakers. There's blood on them. They send the sample in for testing. The results come back. It's Sabina Nessa's DNA. Selimaj is brought into custody. He says nothing, absolutely nothing, until he hears the charge. You're under arrest for the murder of Sabina Nessa. He turns to the Albanian translator and quietly asks, what happens if I tell them everything now? But it's too late. The charge has already been filed, and once that happens, the interrogation is over. September 30th. Kochi Selimaj appears in court for the first time, via video link from prison. The hearing is brief, but chilling. The court hears that Sabina was brutally beaten with a blunt object. But even now, medical examiners can't determine the exact cause of death. Then, on December 16th, Selimaj makes a strange move. He pleads not guilty to murder, but admits he's responsible for her death. It's a contradiction, a half-confession, a calculated way to dodge the full weight of guilt. But what really outraged the public wasn't just what he said. Sabina Nessa, a young, innocent woman, was murdered in cold blood, and yet national media barely covered her story. No headlines, no primetime specials, almost total silence. So others started speaking up. Journalists, activists, ordinary people online. A viral post began to spread, calling out the media directly. Why was Sabina's death ignored? Why didn't her story matter? That post became a turning point. Conversations exploded, news stations picked it up, and finally, the pressure began to build. For the first time in a long time, women's safety in London was front and center. Lisa Williams, the head teacher at the school where Sabina worked, didn't try to hide her pain. The entire school community was in shock. Sabina wasn't just a teacher, she was a light. Talented, kind, and just getting started. She had so much ahead of her. She inspired her students. She believed in them. She made them feel safe. But the ones who struggled most were the kids. The 30 little ones who saw her every day, trusting, innocent children, now trying to make sense of something no child should ever have to. How could this happen? Why would someone kill their teacher? What kind of world lets something like that happen? There were no answers, just grief, and an empty chair in the classroom, one no one could ever fill. Meanwhile, justice was getting closer. February 25th. Old Bailey. The trial of Kochi Selimaj for the murder of Sabina Nessa finally begins. And the first shock comes almost immediately. He pleads guilty. No emotion, no explanation, just acceptance. His lawyer tells the court he can't say why he did it. He doesn't feel remorse. He just acknowledges that it happened. At the hearing, the medical examiner confirms what everyone feared. Sabina showed clear signs of blunt force trauma to the head and strangulation. But even now, the exact cause of death remains undetermined. Either injury could have killed her. There was no evidence of sexual assault. But lead prosecutor Allison Morgan makes a chilling statement. He didn't know Sabina. He wasn't targeting her. He was looking for any woman he planned to attack, to dominate, to destroy. And he did, with extreme violence. She's clear. This wasn't a moment of rage. It was planned, calculated, cold. Then the judge speaks. This was a savage and barbaric murder. Sabina Nessa was an entirely innocent victim. Her death rests solely and fully on the defendant. And there is no justification for what he did. April 7th, 2022. The court is ready to sentence Kochi Selimaj, but he refuses to show up. He doesn't walk into the courtroom. He doesn't look Sabina's family in the eye. He doesn't even hear the words of justice being spoken. The media and the public are furious. The judge calls him what he is, a coward, but adds the court can't legally force him to appear. Before announcing the sentence, the judge speaks directly to what really matters. Sabina had every right to walk through that park, to enjoy her life, to rest after work, to be free. No one had the right to take that from her. And even though Selimaj isn't there, the sentence is final, life in prison. No chance of parole for at least 36 years. Sabina's family feels relief, not closure. They call him what he is, a disgusting, cowardly animal. Shortly after, Selimaj is moved to Broadmoor, a high-security psychiatric prison, to evaluate his mental state. His uncle later gives an interview. When he left Albania for the UK, I thought he'd build a new life. But now, he's just a murderer, and that's all he'll ever be. Shortly after, Selimaj is moved to Broadmoor, a high-security psychiatric prison, to evaluate his mental state. His uncle later gives an interview. When he left Albania for the UK, I thought he'd build a new life. But now, he's just a murderer, and that's all he'll ever be. 5 minutes for a stranger to take her life. No motive, no reason, just because he could. But Sabina isn't just a name in a police report. She's not another number in a statistic. She's a reminder that life can be stolen in an instant, that grief never truly goes away, that one family's world can be shattered forever, and that fear, the quiet fear so many women carry, is heartbreakingly real. Sabina's story became a symbol, a warning, that even the most ordinary moments can end in tragedy, and that the people we love can be taken from us forever.